I know this sounds like any other story, but it is really starting to scare me now. So, here I go. I'm your average British 17-year-old, living in what I think is the least haunted place in England. But I keep having these dreams. Well, more nightmares, really. They've been going on for a few months now. I've always been interested in the paranormal, but I've never really believed in it. But now, I'm not so sure anymore. Anyway, these dreams all feature the same woman. Long, black, brown hair, pinned straight, falling below her shoulders. She is always wearing this fitted plain black dress. It is calf length with mid-length sleeves that end at the elbow. I've never seen below her knees, so I can't comment on shoes or anything. From the back, she looks like any normal woman, going out to a semi-formal party. But from the front is a different story. Her skin is so pale, with a slightly grayish tinge. Her eyes are the most haunting, though. They are wide and surrounded by black mascara and eyeliner, but they radiate hate and malice, and seem cold and dead. The pupils blend into the irises perfectly, so they look like black, inky pools, surrounded by a sea of white. Yes, she has been close enough to me for me to see her in this detail. It was the most frightening thing in the world. When she gets close, I can see her cheeks are hollow. They actually go into her face, and I have drawn that face, but I ripped up the drawings and burned them because they scared me. My first dream with her in it happened when I was 11. But she didn't really bother me because she was a background character in my dream. But since then, she's been becoming more and more apparent in my life. The first full-on dream, or vision, I have had of her went like this. I was just sitting on my bed, reading, and I think that I hear my doorbell going, so I go downstairs, but it isn't my downstairs anymore. Sure, it looks the same, but it looks older and darker. The oak banisters now look more like some sort of dark wood, and there's this huge cupboard by the stairs. There are no carpets or anything, and I feel like I've just stepped into a totally different world. Another thing I've noticed is how still everything is. I hear this shrill scream from outside, so I crawl under the cupboard because I feel terrified. I can feel my heart racing away in my chest, threatening to explode. My front door swings open, and the woman, she looks quite alive at this point, runs through the door and slams it behind her. She then runs up the stairs next to me, leaving a trail of water behind her from the rain outside. I can hear her breath coming out in ragged gasps. I was staring after her as well as I could from under the cupboard. My adrenaline is pumping around my body like crazy at this point, so I start to crawl out from under the cupboard, but something stops me. I somehow know that I should get back under the cupboard, so I do so immediately. I hear the doorknob rattle, like someone is trying to get in from outside. Something heavy whacks against the door, and it bursts open. There's a figure in a deep reddish-black trench coat. He's carrying an old-fashioned gun. It looks like the butt and trigger of a musket, but its barrel is shaped more like the end of a trumpet. I can't remember the name properly. It's called something like blunderbuss. I can't see too much because it's no lighter outside than it is in the dark house. He had a broad-brimmed hat that covered his face in black shadow. But his presence sent every hair on my body on edge. He gently shut the door behind him and started towards the stairs. I was biting my lips to stop myself from screaming and giving myself away. I had a feeling that this was not just a dream. I could hear his feet padding softly up the stairs, and his breath coming out calm and slowly. In contrast to the breathing I could hear that sounded like someone had just run a marathon. I assumed that was the woman at the top of the stairs or someone else close by. I heard her pleading cries. Then I heard a single shot. Something was falling down the stairs. Then I saw the woman at the bottom of the stairs, facing me. It was obvious she was dead. Her eyes had this glazed look, and blood was coming out from her mouth. I could see a dark patch flowering over her dress, as blood soaked the jet-black material. Footsteps stomped down the steps, and I saw the man stand over the body and laugh. It was a chilling laugh, and there was no soul in it. It had no remorse. He then proceeded to open the door and leave. I looked back at the woman's body, and my heart was racing. I felt like her eyes were burning into me, blaming me for not helping her. I looked away from those haunting eyes, into the blackness behind me. Next thing I knew, my sister's shouting that dinner is ready, and my heart is still in my mouth and threatening to run away. A few weeks later, the dream, or vision, or whatever it is still very fresh in my mind. Even to this day, it gives me chills, but I just pass it off to myself as no more than a dream. Anyway, during this week, I get the sequel to the dream. It is the same house, dark and old-fashioned, with the same enormous cupboard in the hallway. I hear the rain outside the door and see a flash of light, an ear-splitting boom of thunder, so I guess that there is a storm outside. There's part of me that wants to go outside because I get the feeling that it is safer in the wild storm than it is in the dead, dark house. But I can't move. It is when I hear footsteps coming closer to the door that I seem to mobilize myself enough to squeeze under the trusty cupboard again. I knew that this was not going to be a good experience. Sure enough, the handle goes down and the door swings open easily to reveal the same figure in the trench coat with the gun. I see the hat turning from side to side as the figure inspects the surroundings he has just entered. He turns and closes the door, but in the corner of my eye I see something moving on the stairs by the banisters. It is gone before he turns back around and heads for the stairs. I want to stop him from going, but again I am immobilized and I can't cry out. I heard the beginning of a scream which is cut short, and I hear a thump of something falling to the floor. I then see something sliding down the stairs. A black shadow makes its way to the bottom of the stairs before it grows taller and becomes a dead woman. She only seems formed from the knees upwards, so she looks like a swooping shadow dress from my angle under the cupboard. She swoops past, and I can see her swish around the corner. I took my chance and slid out from under the cupboard and headed for the door. However, I stop in my tracks and turn towards the stairs. For some reason, I'm suddenly upstairs, next to the trench-coated man's body. I still can't see his face, so I go to remove his hat, until I hear slithering near the bottom of the stairs. I run into the closest bedroom, and scramble under the bed. I can see outside the door the feet and legs of the man in the trench coat. The shadow slides next to the body's feet, then seems to pause. Then I get the feeling that it is staring at me. The woman materializes from it, lying on her front, staring at me, with those cold, dead eyes. I close my own eyes, and I feel coldness envelop me, head to foot. I woke up shivering that night, despite my blankets. Since then, I think that I catch small glimpses of her. It doesn't seem to matter whether I'm awake or asleep or in between. I feel like she is always watching me. The last glimpse I had of her was when I was trying to get some sleep, which wasn't really working. My room was really dark, with only a little light from the street lamp outside. Then I saw a tall, dark shadow with a pale face in front of my wardrobe. She was looking at me with what I can only describe as murderous rage. I saw her slowly gliding towards me, so I did what most people would do. I scrunched my eyes tightly closed and tensed every muscle in my body, preparing for, I don't know, something bad to happen. I felt the same ice-cold feeling grip my body, and I felt like something was stopping me from breathing. My eyes opened fully, and I saw her face in every detail, about an inch from mine. The black irises, the pupils that made her eyes seem like black, dead holes, and sallow, pale skin. She didn't seem to breathe, but her long ebony hair felt like the breath of death as it touched my face. Her pale lips seemed almost blue in the darkness, and they were tightly drawn into a grimace of hatred. If she'd stayed longer, I would have screamed, but she shot backwards through my closed door, with that look still on her face. I try to get as much sleep as I can nowadays, but I am always aware of this malevolent presence in my dreams, and when I'm awake. She hasn't been that close to me since, and for that I am glad. But even now, I can be walking from my room to the bathroom and see her white, evil face glaring at me from the stairs. She seems to be attached to me somehow. I literally can't escape from her. She can be anywhere, at any time, and it scares me. Sometimes I think of getting help, but who would believe this? I sound like a total nutcase. By writing this down, I feel a little better for some reason. It is like why some people make lists to help get some order in their lives. I write what I've seen, and it makes me feel a little more in control. That probably sounds silly, but then again, listen to my story. I saw these images, visions, or dreams, or whatever you want to call them, and feel like, I don't know, almost like I'm losing it. I don't know what to think anymore. Update. August 9th, 2011. I had started seeing this thing outside my house. I had seen it on my way home twice. The dream is always the same, and it comes in two halves, or in one long dream. I don't get much sleep anymore.